Wow, you sent us a mountain of AI info this time. Articles, Reddit threads, Discord chats, you name it.
Seems like our listeners are really digging into the world of AI and its impact.
And we're right there with them.
Right.
So let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's see what's got the AI world buzzing, and more importantly, what projects are out there making a real difference.
Okay, so one big thing that keeps popping up is AI in healthcare. This tweet from @BeanDuretti really caught my eye.
Oh yeah, they think AI combined with, things like DOGE and RFK could totally change the game.
It's transformative, right?
Yeah, and, AI could tackle those huge issues in healthcare, like all the inefficiencies and crazy costs.
True, it's a mess.
Totally. But imagine, AI streamlining all that paperwork and those long wait times.
And think about AI analyzing, like, medical images.
Right. Helping doctors catch diseases earlier with way more accuracy.
That'd be huge.
Yeah. And with, earlier and more accurate diagnoses, you get more personalized treatments and ultimately...
better results for patients.
Exactly. And, by automating certain tasks and just boosting efficiency, AI could actually bring those healthcare costs down.
Making quality care more accessible, too.
Right. That's the goal.
Now, while AI has this amazing potential to make things better, there's also the whole question of its impact on jobs, right?
Of course, yeah.
Another big theme in all this research is automation. And Majority predicts AI is going to automate a lot of white-collar jobs and transform transportation.
Right, which is going to have a big impact on the job market for sure. But it's important to remember AI is still kind of in its early stages.
Right, so we're not all getting replaced by robots tomorrow.
No, we've got maybe a decade before the full impact really hits us. And, there are definitely concerns about people losing their jobs, but automation also brings good things like increased productivity and safety.
Yeah, it's like imagine AI taking over dangerous jobs or those super repetitive tasks. Then humans can focus on more creative stuff.
Right, exactly. But that means we need good retraining programs to help people adapt to those new jobs, learn the skills for the future.
Definitely. Okay, speaking of AI and work, there's a specific tool you found that was pretty interesting, KTT, right?
Oh, yeah, KATT. You shared that story from the Notebook LM Discord about someone using KKT for their podcast.
It was wild.
Oh.
2 years of training, and KDT helped them produce a totally fact-checked podcast over 90 minutes long.
That's impressive. And it really shows what AI could do for podcasting.
Imagine AI fact-checking in real time as you're recording.
No more spending hours checking every little detail after the fact. And AI could even take over those tedious tasks like transcription and editing.
So podcasters can just focus on, telling those great stories.
Exactly. And this could make podcasting more accessible for people with disabilities too.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, break down those barriers, get more diverse voices out there.
Okay, so moving on from audio to code. You pointed out some news about Aider, this AI coding tool that's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, Aider. What's really cool about version 0.63.0 is that 55% of the new code was, self-authored.
AI writing its own code. Whoa.
It's wild, right? Shows how AI is being used to speed up and even automate parts of software development.
So does that mean robots are going to be coding everything soon?
Not quite. Think of AI coding tools like Aider as more like super assistants, not replacements for actual developers.
Okay, that's reassuring.
They can help write code faster with those intelligent suggestions and autocompletion, less errors, better quality.
Like a super-powered spell check, but for code.
Exactly. And this could actually make coding easier for beginners, too.
Oh, interesting.
Lower that barrier to entry. And Aider's getting even bigger now with those releases on VS Code and NeoVim.
So AI isn't just writing code, it's making coding more accessible, too. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, now let's get a bit more technical. You sent over some stuff about NousResearch's Forge Reasoning API and Nous Chat, which are making waves in the AI world.
Right. Forge is really interesting because it's not a new language model itself. It's more like a system designed to make existing models smarter.
Smarter how?
Well, it uses things like Monte Carlo Tree Search, chain of code, and mixture of agents to improve how those LLMs understand and process information. So you get more accurate, more reliable AI assistants.
AI assistants that can actually, think things through.
Exactly.
And there's a bit of a mystery surrounding Forge, isn't there?
Yeah, it's closed source, so you can only access it through an API waitlist. And that's made people really curious to see how effective it really is.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But it's exciting to see the push for more sophisticated AI, even if it's a bit secretive.
Definitely. So diving back in, there were tons of updates and developments in the world of large language models. Your research highlighted a lot of buzz around the Qwen series.
Yeah, there was a bunch of chatter on Reddit, especially about Qwen 2.5 Coder, that code-focused model from Alibaba Cloud.
Right.
People seem pretty impressed with how it handles those long chunks of code.
Yeah, and what's exciting about Qwen 2.5 Coder is it has this expanded context window.
Context window.
Yeah, it means it can take in more text at once, which is super important for generating code because, it lets the model keep track of all those different functions and variables.
So bigger context window equals, better code.
In theory, yeah. But, even with all these advancements, some users still reported issues with Qwen hallucinating, like generating code that's just plain wrong or
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
So it's not perfect yet.
Not quite. Still a ways to go before AI can replace human developers entirely.
Phew, that's a relief.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to see how these tools are, getting better all the time. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk quantization.
Quantization.
Yeah, it's a bit more technical, but still important for AI.
Right. It's basically about making AI models smaller and faster by compressing them, which is crucial for, getting AI to run on devices with limited resources like your smartphone or even those tiny little embedded systems.
So we're talking like fitting a supercomputer in your pocket,
Kind of, yeah.
but doesn't shrinking it down, make it less powerful.
There is a trade-off, yeah. Quantization can sometimes lead to a slight dip in accuracy, but researchers are always coming up with new ways to minimize that.
Right.
And speaking of research, your research had some discussions about a paper called Scaling Laws for Precision.
Oh, yeah.
It looks at how quantization relates to the amount of data used to train an AI model.
Okay, and in plain English, what does that mean?
Well, basically, they found that when you train an AI model on huge amounts of data, it becomes more sensitive to quantization.
So compressing it is, riskier.
Yeah, you could see a bigger drop in performance compared to models trained on smaller data sets.
So the more you teach an AI, the harder it is to shrink it down without losing some of its smarts.
Pretty much, yeah. And that brings up some interesting questions about the future of AI. If we need more and more data to train these super advanced models, are we going to hit a point where quantization just doesn't work anymore?
That's a good question.
Definitely something researchers are working on. Okay, let's move on to a project that tackles another big issue in AI data transparency.
You're talking about the Common Corpus project, right?
Yeah.
I was intrigued by this one because it's aiming to collect a massive amount of data.
Yeah.
Like 2 trillion open tokens.
Yeah.
All with provenance.
2 trillion.
2 trillion. What does provenance mean exactly?
So in this context, provenance means, tracking where the data used to train the AI model came from. It's like having a detailed record of the origin and history of every piece of information.
So like giving the AI a background check.
Exactly. You can see where it got its information and whether that information is reliable. And this is, super important for building trust in AI.
Right, makes sense. We're trusting these AI systems with a lot, so we got to know where they're getting their info.
Exactly.
Okay, let's circle back to some of those standout projects we talked about earlier. You dug up some pretty cool news from the Aider Discord.
Oh, yeah. Lots of excitement around the release of Aider extensions for VS Code and NeoVim, meaning Aider, that AI coding tool we were talking about, is now even more accessible to developers on different platforms.
That's great. It's really cool to see tools like that expanding their reach. And it's still blowing my mind that it wrote over half of its own code for that last update.
It is pretty wild.
Okay, now let's talk about another project with potentially huge implications. NousResearch's Forge Reasoning API.
Right. As we mentioned, Forge isn't a new language model itself. It's more like a system designed to, boost the reasoning powers of those existing models.
Giving them a turbocharged brain. But I'm still curious about the whole closed source thing. Why all the secrecy?
That's a good question. It's actually sparked a lot of debate in the AI community. Some people argue that keeping Forge closed source, it hinders transparency and reproducibility,
Right.
while others say it allows NousResearch to, protect their intellectual property and ensure responsible development.
It's tricky, right? On the one hand, open access and collaboration can lead to faster innovation.
Right.
But then there are the risks of releasing powerful AI tools without any safeguards. It's a tough balance.
Definitely.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit and talk about some of the bigger concerns around AI. One that always comes up is job displacement.
Yeah, as AI gets more advanced and starts automating more tasks, there are definitely worries about people losing their jobs.
Right. And while some people believe that AI will create new jobs, others worry that those new jobs won't be enough to offset the losses.
It's a complex issue for sure.
It is. How do we prepare for a future where, AI plays an even bigger role in the workforce? Do we need to rethink education or social safety nets or even what work means?
Those are some big questions we need to address as a society. We need to talk about this openly and honestly and start coming up with solutions that ensure a just and equitable transition. But even with all these concerns, it's important to remember that AI also has incredible potential for good.
Absolutely. We've already seen it used to tackle some of the world's biggest challenges, like diagnosing diseases
Right.
or developing new energy solutions.
Right. And as AI keeps evolving, we can expect even more innovative applications that make our lives better and create a more sustainable future.
The key is, to approach it with a balanced perspective, recognize both the benefits and the risks.
Well said.
Okay, before we wrap up our deep dive, let's take a moment to think about the key takeaways. What stands out to you most from everything we discussed?
So we've really explored a lot in our AI deep dive. Healthcare, coding, the future of work, AI is everywhere. What really stands out to you looking back at all this? I think it's the sheer range of what AI can do. We've seen it improve healthcare, make coding more efficient, even change how we produce podcasts.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. But there are those big concerns too, right? Like jobs and making sure AI is developed responsibly.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to data transparency. That need for provenance in AI training, that Common Corpus project with its, what was it, 2 trillion open
2
tokens?
trillion, yeah, with all that provenance data.
It really highlights how important that is becoming.
It's like building a history for all the info that goes into training an AI. So we
Mhm.
can trace where the data came from, check if it's accurate, understand if there's any bias.
Exactly. And that kind of transparency is crucial if we want to trust these AI systems.
Because we need to know how AI is making decisions, right?
Right.
Make sure it's not reinforcing harmful stereotypes or being unfair.
Right. It's about ethical and responsible AI, which, brings us back to those AI projects that are doing good in the world, like KATT changing the game for podcasting, Aider.
Forge, boosting the brain power of those big language models.
Yeah, Forge. Still some debate about it being closed source, but there's no denying its potential.
It's definitely an exciting time to be following all this. So much innovation, so many possibilities. It feels like we're at the start of something huge.
We are. But it's crucial to, approach it responsibly. Think about both the good and the bad as we develop these powerful tools.
Well said. So we've covered a ton of ground in our AI deep dive.
Yeah.
Healthcare, automation, the future of work, data transparency. It's clear that AI is changing our world in big ways. And it's up to all of us to, stay informed, keep talking about this stuff, and help shape where AI goes from here.
Because the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're building together.
That's a great point. So to our listener, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, keep learning. The world of AI is full of potential, and it's on us to make sure that potential is used for good. Until next time, keep diving deep.